When you picture a dictator seizing power, what comes to mind? Probably tanks, soldiers, right? A big show of force. But what if that's not how the story always starts? What if the first weapon wasn't a gun at all, but a newspaper? It turns out the path to absolute power can begin with something as simple as ink on a page.
So we're talking about a weapon of words, and we're going from a radical socialist to a master provocateur. This is the incredible story of how one of the 20th century's most infamous figures, Benito Mussolini, basically built his entire power base using, well, a printing press. Our story, it doesn't start on a battlefield. Nope. It starts in the heated, chaotic world of radical journalism. This is where a young Mussolini found the weapon he'd use for the rest of his life.
Mussolini was basically born into politics. His family was very active in socialist circles. So it's no surprise he learned pretty fast how to channel all those big ideas into writing. And get this, to dodge military service, he actually bolts to Switzerland. And that's where he really cuts his teeth as a political agitator, writing for different socialist papers before heading back to Italy to start his very own in 1910.
And let's talk about his writing style, because this is key. His articles weren't just articles, they were verbal attacks. They were aggressive, emotional, totally confrontational. The whole point wasn't to inform you, it was to provoke you. He was going after capitalism, the church, the monarchy, everyone. He wasn't playing the logic game, he was all about stoking anger and building a loyal base through pure emotion.
So now he's got this megaphone as a socialist, commanding a national audience with Avanti. And yeah, all that talent for stirring the pot, it did not go unnoticed. Pretty soon he gets handed the keys to one of the biggest platforms in the entire country. This is the moment he goes from being just some regional firebrand to a real national player.
This was a huge step up. In 1912, he's made the editor of Avanti. And this wasn't just some newspaper, it was the official voice of the entire Italian Socialist Party. So overnight, he goes from being that local agitator to a powerful national voice for socialism, shaping the political conversation for literally thousands of people.
And boy, was he good at it. Under his leadership, the readership of Avanti just exploded. This shows you, he wasn't just a writer, he was an audience builder. He had this knack for crafting headlines and articles that you just had to read, that got everyone talking. The paper's influence absolutely skyrocketed.
So at this point, his core message, the socialist voice, was crystal clear. He was all about promoting class conflict, denouncing imperialism, and here's the big one, opposing war. His whole goal was to mobilize the masses for the socialist cause. Now, you got to remember that. Keep that anti-war stance locked in your mind because it is absolutely crucial for what's about to happen next.
All right, so this brings us to him inventing a new story. We're talking about the great ideological reversal of 1914. This is the critical turning point in the whole story. Seriously, everything is about to get flipped on its head. His entire political identity is about to be completely rewritten.
And just to be clear, his position on war was absolute. There was zero ambiguity. He used his huge platform at Avanti to strongly oppose it. He was, without a doubt, one of the most prominent, most vocal anti-war voices in the entire country.
Well, World War I breaks out, and Mussolini makes a move, a decision that doesn't just get him kicked out of the Socialist Party. It sets the stage for a brand new and, frankly, terrifying ideology. He saw an opening, an opportunity, and he took it. Look at this complete reversal. Before 1914, he's all about international socialism, anti-war, class struggle. After 1914, he flips the script completely. He ditches internationalism for this aggressive, hardcore nationalism. The guy who was screaming about the evils of war is now arguing that war is exactly what Italy needs to become stronger, more unified. What a 180. Of course, this move costs him his job and his party, but it gave him a whole new mission.
So what does he do? Does he fade away? Nope. When he lost that first megaphone, he immediately went out and built himself a brand new one. In response, he founded Il Popolo d'Italia, or the People of Italy. He didn't retreat, he doubled down, creating his very own platform to push this new nationalist pro-war message.
And this is it. This is the birth of fascism. Right here, in the pages of this new paper, Mussolini is basically inventing the ideological foundation for it. He's using his writing to glorify violence, to push this aggressive nationalism, and to hammer home the idea that the nation comes before class, before everything. He's field-testing these ideas on the public, in real time.
Okay, so now he's got the ideology. Next step, mobilizing an audience. This is how a newspaper literally built a political movement. See, his paper wasn't just a place for him to spout his ideas. Oh no, it was a strategic tool. It was designed to build a loyal army of followers right from the ground up.
He basically created a blueprint for power, and it had 4 main steps. Step 1, use the paper to gain national recognition. Check. Step 2, build a whole new political identity around fascism. Check. Step 3, spread that ideology like wildfire. And finally, Step 4, the scary part, recruit supporters and militants. His paper was a direct pipeline for recruiting the guys who would later become his black shirts, the ones who marched on Rome with him.
So think about this. By the time the March on Rome happens in 1922, he's already a dominant political voice in Italy. And how did he get there? Almost entirely thanks to the press. Before he ever held any real political office, before any show of force, he'd already won a massive battle for public opinion, all through his newspaper.
And then he gets power. This is where we go from press to propaganda, turning that weapon on the state itself. Once he's in charge, Mussolini takes all those lessons he learned as a journalist and applies them to the whole nation. But there's a really dark twist. He knew exactly how powerful the press was, and there was no way he was going to let anyone else use that weapon against him.
So he basically consolidates all media control. He dismantles the very system that let him rise in the first place. Independent journalism, suppressed. Opposition newspapers, shut down. Strict censorship was brought in everywhere. In the end, all media was transformed into a state propaganda machine with one job, to serve the regime and glorify his image as Il Duce.
And this, right here, is the single most important thing to take away from all this. His dictatorship was built first on newspapers, and only later on force. The foundation of his power wasn't guns or tanks, not at first. It was the careful, strategic manipulation of words and media. The pen was, without a doubt, his first and his mightiest weapon.
So, this whole story leaves us with a pretty big question for today, doesn't it? In our modern media landscape, what has replaced the newspaper as the most powerful tool for shaping a movement? We live in an age of social media, of algorithms, of 24/7 news cycles. The tools have obviously changed, but have the strategies? It's something to think about. Let us know what you think down in the comments.
Thank you so much for watching this explainer. If you found this valuable, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives like this one.
We'll see you next time.